Okay, so I want to revisit a story that we've already covered. We've already seen this video of the older gentleman being pushed down by the police. But the thing is, this story has happened in a number of stages, and I'd like to put it all together because when you put the whole story together, you start to realize how ridiculous this situation is. So we start off, we'll take a look at the videos, which are upsetting because someone is getting hurt. So be warned, most people have seen it, but this man hits his head on the sidewalk and starts bleeding. It isn't good. But let's take a look at the videos, and then we're going to discuss them. So here's the first view that we get of it. Okay, so first of all, did you hear that thud? That was his head hitting the ground. That's very dangerous, right? Let's take a look at it from another point of view.
He's not a He's bleeding out of his ear. Get him medic. What the you walking up on me? I'm on the ground.
All right, so in that video, we can see him being pushed. We can see him bleeding on the sidewalk as his head slams that ground and hits it. So there's a number of ways that this story has been spun. One is we can actually see him in that video. He appears to be scanning the police with his phone or some type of app which will identify individuals, or maybe he was just recording so he could be getting names. And some people are coming out and saying, well, there, he had it coming, right? Well, no, we are allowed as citizens to know who the police officers are that we're interacting. We're supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to be able to ask for badge numbers. You're supposed to be able to identify individuals. It's one of the ways that we hopefully can hold people responsible. The point here is at no time is there any kind of justification that these officers were in any kind of danger, that he needed to be shoved and that he needed to take a fall, which is a dangerous fall. Okay, if you talk to medical officials, they will tell you that kind of fall can be deadly, and not like 1 in 100,000 deadly. Like falling from that height where your head hits the pavement like that can very easily end in death. So this individual is actually quite lucky, right? He's currently in stable condition in the hospital, but it could have gone very different. And here's the thing, right? We're showing more and more that head injuries can affect you. This is a man who is 75 years old, and he just fell from his full height and hit his head on the concrete. He may never be the same again. He may not talk the same. He may not walk the same. And even if he does, his cognitive abilities may be impaired. For a 75-year-old individual to take that kind of fall and hit their head is not good at all. So I don't think this is a situation where, well, he lived, he's in stable condition, he's going to be okay. That's probably not okay for any 75-year-old individual. They're probably not going to be quite the same after that. And the age, is disappointing and disheartening, but that kind of behavior shouldn't happen to someone who's 25 either, right? Those officers were never in danger. They were never in a situation where they had to defend themselves. You might say, well, he was impeding their progress. Fine. If the police feel they need to arrest him, right, and then we can look into it later, then arrest him. Put him in handcuffs, take him to the side, do what you need to do with him. You don't throw him to the ground and have him, that thud, not good. That thud of his head hitting the pavement is bad. Okay, so we've all seen this. So then what happens next? So what happens next is what we see the headline here. Buffalo officers quit special team after 2 officers are suspended for shoving a 75-year-old protester, right? The 57 officers resigned from the emergency unit, but not from the force. Okay, so this is not a situation where they walked away from their pensions and their pay and all this kind of stuff. They're still around. They're still employed. They're just not on the emergency response team, the emergency response unit, okay, which, let's face it, I wouldn't want to be on that unit either. So if you gave me a chance to say, you know what, I'm going to let other people handle this, probably do it. This is a very risky place to be. So this is a little different than a lot of what you're hearing, that they all resigned right away. Well, they resigned from the special team. They're still officers. They're still on the force, according to CNN. So, it gives it a slightly different view than we've been hearing in the media. These people are still around, right? Okay, now this is exactly why we need reforms, right? So there's obviously racial undertones to what's going on. So don't in any way take this as saying that there isn't systemic racism in police departments that need to be addressed. There absolutely is. But here we have a white individual also being abused by the police. This is a concern for everyone. Right? And this is good because this is what we're seeing in the protests. We're seeing this isn't just a protest where one race is showing up. These protests, everyone is showing up. Everyone is saying, yes, we are concerned. We are concerned about police brutality. We are concerned about the racism that is inherent in police brutality. And this needs to be addressed for everybody. So if you're sitting at home and saying, well, this is a black issue where the black community is having trouble with the police. No, everyone is having trouble with the police. And the truth is the stuff that we want implemented in police departments is going to help everyone. Right? If we can reduce the racism and the violence that police are allowed to put on us as just normal citizens, we all will benefit. So this is really a fight we should all be fighting for, right? We should all be pushing for. No, we need to make sure that when police unnecessarily use force, there are legitimate checks and there are legitimate consequences that are going to occur. And yes, it's an even bigger problem in the black community, and that absolutely has to be addressed. And we need to get to the bottom of those systemic issues so that we can change things. And a big part of that is this defunding movement that's going on. Which is addressed in other videos. All right, but the story doesn't end there. Of course, it manages to get even more bizarre and disturbing. So then Donald Trump comes out with the following tweet. Buffalo protester shoved by police could be an Antifa provocateur. 75-year-old Martin Gugino was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. Okay, so a few things going on here. One, there's no evidence that he was doing anything to block out police equipment, right? It's much more likely that he was doing some kind of scanning so that he could identify what those police were. There's tracking apps that go on in these protests so you can like track where the police are. It's not really understood at this moment exactly what he was doing when he was moving that phone around, but you know what he wasn't doing was endangering police. Okay, the police were never in any danger. So if he wants to take some photos or record some video with the police, that's not a reason to throw him to the ground and have his head smashed on the ground, right? A does not follow B. That is not an appropriate response to do. So what if he was scanning them? Fine. Then, if you have reason to believe he's doing wrongdoing, put some cuffs on the man and take him in. You don't throw him to the ground with that thud of his head smashing into the ground and then blood pooling under his head. That is absolutely horrible. And then the president coming out and trying to make it look like it was the man's fault, right? This is the problem in policing, is police overstep, right? They do it in all sorts of situations, and then people come to their rescue. The people in power come to their rescue and say, hey, it's okay. There are these reasons. There is no reason. What if first of all, it's been debunked. There is no evidence at all that he was an Antifa provocateur. But what if he was? What if he was an Antifa provocateur? We've seen the video, right? What if he's part of Antifa? Does that mean that you get to throw him to the ground and smash his head on the ground and have pools of blood under his head? No, you don't get to do that. That is unacceptable. That is inappropriate. And this should be met with reform. And this is why we need to do exactly what is going on in the protests. We need to defund police, and we need to take many of these situations that can be handled by other people and let other people, social workers and so on, handle some of the issues, right? No one's saying get rid of the police completely, but look at this inappropriate behavior that's happening. And many people in our country, right, have to deal with this on a daily basis. And unfortunately, much of it is racially motivated. Right? If you look at the numbers, this is happening to certain members of our population more than others. We need to fix this for all of our citizens. All citizens in this country need to be able to feel safe. right? Including the ones who are affected the most, which are black members of our society, get the brunt of this. And that is unacceptable. It's not okay. We need major police reform. Not the kind of stuff they're talking about in Congress where you do a few things here and there. We need major reform, and we need to demilitarize the police, and we need to make sure that this kind of behavior, this kind of bully behavior is unacceptable, right? Because people's lives are in danger. And yeah, I honestly believe that Martin's never going to be the same again, right? When 75-year-old people take a fall like that, it usually has lasting effects. And that's too bad, because what he was trying to do was stand up and make society better for the members of society who have to face police brutality on a regular basis. Okay? So we'll see. We'll keep following this story. We'll see if it manages to get even dumber than the Donald Trump tweet that we're looking at right now. It might, hopefully not. But we'll see how things go. And we wish Martin Gugino full recovery, and hopefully he will not have any lasting effects from this. But I find that pretty doubtful. Okay. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can catch all the new content as it becomes available. And we'll see you in the future.